Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, are some of my favorite holiday movies of all time. Might be my favorite of all time. Period. I used to watch these movies religiously year-round, Christmas season or not. Especially Home Alone 2, which is what my family used to own on DVD. I used that DVD so much as a kid that at some point, it just kinda stopped working because of how much I rewatched the movie over and over again. In fact, I'm still feeling the effects of my continuous Home Alone binge to this very day, as I ended up memorizing a majority of Kevin's lines by heart, and I still know most of them, even now.
Hey, Kevin, you better go put your tie on. We don't want to be late for the Christmas pageant.
My tie's in the bathroom. I can't go in there, because Uncle Frank's taking a shower. He says if I walked in there and saw him naked, I'd grow up never feeling like a real man. Whatever that means.
When you're ready to apologize to Buzz and to the rest of the family, you can come down.
I'm not apologizing to Buzz. I'd rather kiss a toilet seat.
Then you can stay up here the rest of the night.
Fine. I don't want to be down there anyway. I can't trust anybody in this family. And you know what? If I had my own money, I'd go on my own vacation. Alone. Without any of you guys. And I'd have the most fun of my whole life. Anyway, that's enough of that. I love the first two Home Alone. They're very near and dear to my heart, as you can probably tell. And as a kid, I always wanted more. You know? Nowadays, I appreciate the simplicity of the duology with Kevin, but that didn't stop 8-year-old me from wanting more Home Alone anyway. And then I found out about Home Alone 3 from 1994. Yeah, there was another Home Alone. Some people know about this one, and some people don't. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't know it existed, though, because it really wasn't as well received as the first two. This would be the first movie that would break away from the then Home Alone tradition of following the McAllisters, instead focusing on a wholly new family called the Pruitts. I'd say this was pretty much in part to the fact that Macaulay Culkin had retired acting after Richie Rich in 1994. With the original Kevin McAllister out of the picture and Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, otherwise known as Harry and Marv, wanting to do other things, they had no choice but to entirely change everything, or, just recast. And considering how audiences reacted to the decision of new characters back in 1994, I doubt they would have reacted any better if they decided to just recast them as the old characters. I think it would have been worse, actually. So thank goodness they were smart enough not to do that. Foreshadowing is literary device where, on one hand, if you're watching a Home Alone 3, you're probably attached to the characters from Home Alone 1 and 2 and want to see what they're up to, and don't really want to see these new guys. But on the other, giving these new actors new characters separates them from the shadow that they would otherwise have to fill if they were given the old characters. And as long as you're willing to set aside the old characters for a bit, it can give you a pretty fun time. I can't exactly say it justifies its existence to be part of this now trilogy, but decent enough movie. I don't consider it horrendously bad. Home Alone 4 is horrendously bad. Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House, is the beginning of what I like to call the modern Home Alone trilogy, featuring itself from 2002, Home Alone: The Holiday Heist in 2012, and Home Sweet Home Alone in 2025. However, I consider Home Alone 4 to be the most interesting of the trio, as it's the only movie post-Home Alone 2 to try and return to the McAllisters. Heyo heyo, I'm MoonieMuses, and today we're going to talk about Home Alone 4, the post-Macaulay Culkin Kevin McAllister movie that probably should have been left home alone. Let's talk about it. Home Alone 4 Taking Back the House is a direct-to-TV and DVD American comedy movie that was directed by Rob Daniels and released on ABC on November 3rd, 2002. It was released under the umbrella of the Disney anthology series called The Wonderful World of Disney, and was the debut first episode of the 47th season of the time. Also, just wanted to mention this now that I will be bringing up the original Home Alone and Home Alone 2 in comparison to this film. Typically, I wouldn't like to do this as I feel it's not fair, but in this case, I think it's more than reasonable considering it's supposed to be a sequel to those films. Anyway, background check out of the way, let's talk about the movie now. Our movie begins with an entirely new intro sequence, with entirely new music. I guess they couldn't afford Somewhere in My Memory. Later music choices will make this very ironic later, and we'll come back to this in a bit. But for now, let's get reintroduced to the new McAllisters of the film. This is the new Kate McAllister, played by Claire Carey, formerly portrayed by Catherine O'Hara. This is the new Buzz McAllister, played by Gideon Jacobs, formerly played as Devin Rattray. This is Megan McAllister, a character that no one really cared about in the original or this film, played by Chelsea Russo, formerly played by Hilary Wolf. And of course our main character, Kevin, played by Michael Weinberg and formerly played by the Good Son. There's also Peter McAllister, the father, played by Jason Bay and formerly played by John Hurt, who we'll get back to in a bit as he's not in the scene. And that's the entire family for this movie, even when it really should not be.
I've got them. Here's your families. I've got my family. How many do you have? 7, 14.
Yeah, you're short about 9, Home Alone 4. But I'll give you a bit of a break here because having 14 people for this one movie would be a lot for TV. Anyway, back to the movie. It's very clear that we have a divorce plot going on. You know, because the first scene we see with Kevin ever in this movie is him being very sad and watching home movies with his dad in them. Talk about subtle, huh? You'd have to be denser than osmium to not know how this would play out from this alone.
I'm 9 years old. Watch a lot of TV.
Wait, what? You're 9? Liar! Because Kevin is 10 in Home Alone 2. He says so himself when talking to the hotel staff named Cedric, aka me.
Do you know how the TV works?
I'm 10 years old. TV's my life.
Are these guys just terrible at counting? Actually, I think that might be pretty lore accurate, so I'll give him a pass on how terrible counting. Kate and Kevin have the stereotypical heart-to-heart you'd expect from a divorce movie like this, and then she leaves. Doesn't matter though, because Kevin follows her downstairs anyway and gets tackled by Buzz and Megan. Buzz is upset, but he has to stay home and watch Kevin while Kate goes out to their chores for a few hours, and Megan really had no reason to tackle him, because she's going out to a recital later this night, so this is completely useless. It's honestly kind of funny, considering the fact that, allegedly, just before this in the timeline, Kevin had just been alone by himself in New York City, and now he won't be allowed to stay home for just a couple of hours at most.
Please let him go. I'll stay home alone.
No,
I've done it before.
don't remind me.
I don't know about you guys, but if I was Kate and I left my son behind 2 consecutive years in a row for multiple days and he wasn't found dead when I came back, I would be more than confident that he could hold the fort for a couple of hours while he went out to do groceries or something. Peter arrives at that very moment to set up the conflict of his new family he's making. You'd think that the scene would tell us the reason of their divorce, but that's really not true.
Well, you know, Natalie and I are living together, and, well, when our divorce is final, I'm gonna marry her.
Wow, we've only been separated 8 months.
Listen, Kate, I really want the kids to spend a little time with me over the holidays.
You want the kids for Christmas?
Just a couple of days.
I guess Peter just really wanted that extra large bed, a TV, and one of those little refrigerators you have to open with a key. Credit card? Guess Kate didn't have it. He brings his offer up with the children. He's promptly shot down by Megan and Buzz, but gets desperate with Kevin, and starts talking about a royal crowned prince who will come to visit his and his fiance's new home in due time for the holidays to try and convince him to come.
There's a royal family coming to visit. They have a son around your age. Actually, you might have a chance to play with a crown prince.
A crown prince?
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, way cool.
Kevin also turns down his offer, which is a completely worthless scene as he'll change his mind in like 5 minutes, and Peter says it's an open invitation. And then they all go their separate ways, except for Kevin and Buzz, who were still at home, if you remember, because Buzz has to babysit him. We then get a little montage between the two where Buzz is just tormenting Kevin the entire time. If you can't tell, this is supposed to be the inciting incident in the movie that causes the Home Alone action to start. The original duology had these as well, but it's not done nearly as well here. You see, in the original Home Alone, the inciting incident is that Kevin gets sent up to his room after causing a scene in the kitchen when he gets made fun of by Buzz because Buzz ate all of his cheese pizza and Kevin gets physical with him. The minor fight leads to a bunch of milk to be spilled across the countertop, making a huge mess, causing a boarding pass to be thrown away, on accident. And then as a punishment, Kevin gets sent up to his room in the attic because he's in trouble for what he did. This means, come the following day of the flight, Kevin is not only separated from the entire group, but his boarding pass has been thrown away. It's not just an outside aggressor like Buzz that's leading Kevin to his situations. It's also the combination of Kevin's own actions that leads him to where he is. Here, it's not really the same. Sure, you could argue that after this little montage, it is Kevin's own decision to go out of his way to visit his dad after all. But it's not impactful because we were just introduced to Peter who gave the invitation in the first place. We were already told by the movie that Kevin misses his dad. You didn't have to put Peter in this part of the movie. It just devalues Kevin's decision to go see him, because they know that they're expecting him. You could have just had him go on his own, and that probably would have made for a better story. Anyway, we jump cut ahead to Peter in his new house with his fiancée, I guess, and get flashbanged by a borderline sex scene in my Home Alone movie. Thank you, Disney, that's great. We're also introduced to the antagonist of the movie here, a new character named Vera, and the one returning wet bandit from the previous movies. You know, the one that had a beanie on his head and a scarf and a big gray jacket. He's the one that got his head burned by the big blowtorch and his hand burned by the doorknob. It's Harry Lime. Marv Merchants. This is Marv. Okay, look, no offense to French Stewart, the guy that plays Marv in this movie. It's not even that his performance is absolutely terrible or anything, but it's the fact that he's forced to play Marv. And this is just not a good characterization of Marv. His first action in the first scene that we meet him is literally to be a peeping Tom on Peter and Natalie's. Marv is a childish idiot in a man's body. He's the reason they got tracked down in the first movie because he kept on leaving calling cards everywhere. I don't think Marv would be the kind of character who even knows what sex is, to be honest with you. Let alone be a creep stalker. Anyway, Marv recreates that trope where the villain is monologuing to the hero and explaining all their plans and stuff like that. Except they somehow made it even more useless here because he's not even monologuing to the hero like Kevin or something. He's monologuing to his partner Vera, who should already know the plan because they're out scouting the place. It's just really stupid and redundant. You're clearly there.
We're gonna wait for the royals to arrive. Do-do-do-de-do. And then we're gonna kidnap the prince.
Oh, don't kidnap me, I'm Samson. You sure we can pull it off? I mean, without Harry making the plans?
Look where Harry's plans kept landing me, huh? In jail. Well, not this time. Because this time, I'm the boss.
Kevin arrives at that very moment, and we get to watch him pull up to his dad's new mansion, which ironically looks way more like the original McAllister mansion than the McAllister mansion does in this movie, because the McAllister mansion in this movie looks like my house. Actually, now that I look at it, it kinda looks like the original house got cut in half. Did Peter take the other half in the divorce? Is that why this other house is so big? Is that where it went? Looks like it. We're then also introduced to my favorite character in this entire movie, Mr. Prescott, played by Eric Avari. I mean, just look at him. Look at that smile. It's almost as good as John Romero's smile. Mr. Prescott doesn't smile very much in this movie, though. Shame. We also get formally introduced to Natalie, and oh yeah, there's also her maid, Molly. I don't care about these guys as much, they're boring. Oh yeah, they also establish that this is a smart house. It's basically, Alexa, the house. Which is pretty accurate to how a lot of smart assistants are nowadays, actually, so good on you, Home Alone 4, you beat Back to the Future. Didn't think I'd ever say that, but don't worry, I'll get to Back to the Future. Speaking of cool futuristic things from the future, we get to see the room that Natalie set up for Kevin that Peter hyped up. And it's really funny, because it's a complete stereotype of grown adults thinking they know what little kids find cool. He has a bunch of random speakers and boomboxes everywhere. He has a random steering wheel on this coffee table. He has an arcade machine that looks to be the original Mario Bros. A giant rubber ball, I guess. Whatever this thing in the corner is supposed to be. I think it's one of those racing arcade machine things. And of course, a giant ring of 13 screens on his wall, all showing different stuff like skateboarding or whatever. This one on the middle in the left row here has Adam West's Batman 1966, the movie, playing on it, by the way. You can tell because you can clearly see the Batmobile leaving the Batcave during this wide shot, as well as what appears to be the Bat helicopter taken off when you see it again. Bit of an unrelated side tangent fun fact here, by the way, but you can actually see this exact same clip in Batman Arkham Knight. You can see it on the very last lap of the 1966 Batcave racetrack, where if you decide to not go off this ramp and crash into the screen, you can actually see this clip play out. Albeit they cut out the Bat helicopter part, but this is still the same scene, if that scene in Home Alone 4 is the one from the movie, which it appears to be. This is the second time in a row where I'm talking about something I'd much rather be talking about than this film. Thankfully, we finally reached the point of the movie where all of the important introductions are finally out of the way, which means we can finally pick up the pace a little bit. The next few scenes are pretty much just Kevin going on a little montage of living the good life, which was also present in the previous Home Alone films. But it's not nearly as funny or anything here because he's not actually home alone, so this movie just failed at its one job that it had. Granted, Home Alone 3 does do something similar where Alex has the chickenpox, so his parents are leaving and coming back for work and stuff during the day, but at least then he's technically actually alone, I'm pretty sure. So even if he wasn't alone for long stretches of time like how Kevin was in the original two films, at least Alex in Home Alone 3 was at least, you know, alone. It's not like that's part of the title of the movie franchise or anything. What's next? A Back to the Future movie where they don't go to the future or time travel whatsoever? And there I go again on Back to the Future. Back to the topic instead. Kevin is given a remote control airplane toy, which I'm only mentioning because it comes into play later in the movie. It's not really that interesting. And we get to see further tension and conflict between Kevin and Mr. Prescott. And Molly doesn't do much of anything. Eventually we watch her leave and we get to see Harry and, Marv and Vera again. My bad. Marv and Vera decide that the best thing to do is to try and scout out the mansion and do so by running straight toward it in the middle of daylight from the front. Conveniently, Kevin happens to have a telescope in his room for some reason aimed toward the front gate. Speaking of which, Kevin says his name when he sees him here.
It's Marv!
Which is also the first time in any Home Alone movie that a character named Kevin McAllister says the name of one of the original Wet Bandits.
I'm up here, you morons! Don't you know a kid always wins against two idiots?
This is also true for Harry and Marv, as they have never said Kevin's name throughout the entire duology.
Where are you, you little creep? This ain't like the last time. This ain't his house. The kid's running scared.
At the absolute most, they knew that his last name was McAllister for most of the films, as that's how they spot him in Home Alone 2. Back to this atrocity of a Home Alone film though, Kevin and Vera— damn, my brain is determined to call this man anything but Marv. Marv and Vera go through the side, and it turns out Marv has one of those fancy talking keys or whatever. They manage to get in the house, and we get our first booby trap sequence with this new Kevin.
Door open.
Go close.
Love this thing.
Not.
No, not a heated doorknob door, or a blowtorch door, or a paperclip to the balls door, or a tool chest to the face door. It's a door. Second trap, thankfully, is a little bit better, and I would dare say a lot more of a spectacle than a basic door. Kevin uses this overly complex shower that's clearly compensating for something to blast Vera and Marv all over the bathroom floor, I guess, or whatever's going on here. Now, I'm not exactly sure what kind of shower this is, but it's clearly some kind of health hazard if it's capable of flooding a room in the matter of seconds. This somehow manages to be the equivalent of a tiny tsunami and sends sends Marv and Vera soaring down the stairs once they manage to escape the bathroom. Marv finally gets to see his attacker, and they treat each other like old friends.
Is that the prince?
No, that's Kevin. Kevin, Vera, Vera, Kevin.
Yeah, okay. Not like Kevin was clearly traumatized by the wet bandits during Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, nor the fact that Marv literally wanted to kill him.
I'm gonna kill that kid! Let's kill!
Hold on, pea-brain.
Thanks, Disney. Vera spoils their entire plan as they're leaving, and Marv yells into Kevin's face that he's going to be back.
That ain't him. Let's get out of here before somebody sees us.
Yeah, I think we got the lay of the land. I'll be back! Yeah! Oh, right!
Cause, yeah, tell the kid that kicked your ass 2 years in a row with prep time like he's Batman that you're gonna be back to this exact same location at a time that he knows. At least when Joker does it, he has a little bit of class, and makes sure that he hasn't done it after he's already been defeated by being blown onto his anus by a bunch of showerheads. Conveniently, Peter and Natalie get home as soon as Marv and Vera leave the area, and so does Mr. Prescott, who I guess was taking the biggest and loudest shit of his life because he somehow missed the entire last few minutes. What could this man have possibly been doing that caused him to miss the loud screams of two burglars bumbling down the stairs? Cut back to Marv and Vera, and they're talking about their plan again, and Kevin.
I can't believe this!
I can't believe this! Thankfully, Marv insists that he's prepared because he's a prepared preparator, and he's the boss.
Preparation, preparedness, be prepared, be a prepared preparator, huh? That's my motto, and that's why I'm
A Boy Scout.
no, the boss.
Kevin gets in trouble and lectured to by his parents, which are going to ignore because it's completely useless to the plot. What is important to the plot is that when Kevin tries to check the security cameras in Mr. Prescott's office, he finds that the last few minutes have been erased, which then leads him to believing that Mr. Prescott is an inside man for Marv and Vera. After he's found, Kevin fulfills his stereotype scream quota because this is a Home Alone film, complete with a very unflattering camera angle where we get to see that he clearly needs some braces. Mr. Prescott then tries to intimidate and reprimand Kevin until he's saved by Molly the maid, who guides Kevin up to his room and says so many things while talking about nothing all at once. This is a writing skill many strive for, but few ever achieve. Kevin then mopes about in his room for about a minute before Peter comes in to try and make him feel better. This then leads into the second big musical montage of the film with a really weird pop rendition of Jingle Bells for some reason.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
For reference, the first big musical montage was during Kevin's Living the Good Life sequence where they play I Feel Good by James Brown, and yet you couldn't afford Somewhere in My Memory even though you used Holiday Flight in your commercials.
New on DVD and video, Home Alone, Taking Back the House.
This goes on forever and does not contribute anything to the story. If you're gonna break up your story with a really big musical number, at least make it cool, like, oh, I don't know. My movie bias is beginning to show. Let's move on. After that, we cut to Kate doing nothing but be sad. Useless scene. And then after that, we cut back to Natalie's house where we get to see that she's changed the tree. And we're supposed to feel really sad in this scene because Kevin feels really sad in this scene, but this tree appeared for one scene, which is the scene that we saw earlier, and it was the only time it had significance, so I don't care. To make him feel better, Peter gives him what is essentially plot convenience in a box. Cause how convenient, out of all of the gifts Peter had for him, he decided to let Kevin open up this box, and not like a Lego set. At that very moment, Kate, Buzz, and Megan arrive, and Kate says she's here to drop off Kevin's teddy bear. Her and Peter then get into a big reminiscence scene about the memories and attachment of this bear for Kevin. Except, of course, it's all exposition, and we got to see none of this, and Kevin did not show at all in the movie that he cared about this bear to the point where he left it at his house, and also it showed no significance in the movie until this very scene. And it's a scene where Kevin McAllister isn't even in the frame. And the next scene that we see him in is when Kate, Megan, and Buzz are already gone, and Peter and Natalie are also going to leave to pick up the Royals for the party tonight. Because that's today. And remember, the Royals, they're part of this movie, allegedly. I wish they'd tell us which Royals is coming to visit. I'd imagine the British, but Home Alone takes place in Chicago, and Kevin and his family are not particularly very important, and Natalie hasn't said why she's important either. So as far as we know, the UK royal family is coming to the US of A to Chicago to see some random ass people. Is this perhaps what they call a Make-A-Wish segment? Because this movie is a cancer to my senses. We get to see Kevin have another Home Alone section with Marv and Vera, except once again, he is not Home Alone. Look how much people they show off in this shot. Look how crowded the room is. That is not alone. There are tons of people here. Kevin is not home alone. Kevin then assaults an old man and locks him into a walk-in ice freezer, which I guess doesn't open from the inside because he doesn't come out on his own. So either Kevin didn't know that and risked just locking him in a room that he could just open the door from, or he knew that and his plan was to just kill this man. This is the closest that Home Alone 4 will get to the brutality of Home Alone 1 or 2. So enjoy it, because this is the best trap we'll ever see. Meanwhile, Marv and Vera are upstairs and conveniently in Kevin's room and are testing out their plan to try and kidnap the prince.
Alright, hey, remember the plan?
Which plan? Harry's plan?
What? No, not Harry's plan. The one involving rope in a bag.
Marv tells Vera to get in the bag.
Get in the bag.
Me? Why don't you get in the bag?
Because I'm the boss. Get in the bag, Vera.
You know, cause he's the boss.
Because I'm the boss.
Kevin then opens another door and sends this anchor thing straight into Marv's balls. Somehow, this smashes him against the window, and suddenly the window falls out of the building. What? Notice, by the way, that for most of these traps, the most that Kevin has done is open doors and press some buttons. Really showing off his genius childlike ingenuity there, guys. But that's not all, folks, because when Marv and Vera get back inside the house, he throws pods at their faces by stepping onto this table. And then, when they chase after him again, Kevin uses his newfound superpower of opening another door. Kevin spends more of this movie's runtime opening doors than he spends it being alone. Why didn't they just call this movie Kid Who Opens Doors, the movie? And then they could have saved tons of money by just filming Michael Weinberg opening a single door for an hour. The Kid Who Opens Doors' door opening powers is so potent that by opening this specific door, he manages to cause pandemonium in the entire party and completely ruin it. Not the fact that he ripped a window out of the building or caused massive damage in the kitchen or locked a guy in a walk-in freezer to hopefully die and you can clearly see him right there on the table. No, he just opened the door too hard and this guy fell over. He then gets screamed at by Peter, who I will give credit because that's actually a pretty good scream.
Kevin!
Not exactly the Kate O'Hara scream from Home Alone 2, but I'd say it beats out the one from Home Alone 1 pretty well. He gets lectured by Peter, which we're gonna skip because it's a nothing burger, and he calls his mom because he's sad, which we're gonna skip because it adds nothing to the story we don't already know. Later, when he's going to sleep, he ends up getting threatened by Natalie because she thinks he's trying to ruin her relationship with his dad, which I'm pretty sure is only here to make us realize that Natalie is a bad person and root for the McAllisters, because otherwise, Natalie is a pretty not that bad person. She can be a little uptight at times, but she clearly isn't the type of person who've had a child before, which, you know, obviously wouldn't be her fault and wouldn't make her, like, a bad person. I'd honestly be willing to bet some money on the fact that this scene, right here, only exists for that purpose of making Natalie unlikable. And it's only this far in the movie because I realized halfway through making it that she actually was pretty good. I mean, she went out of her way to find things Kevin would enjoy with the help of Peter to make sure that his stay here would be nice and fun. She decided to side with Peter and forgive Kevin after he literally destroyed their house with water, and she was welcoming to the rest of the family, even Kate. Had this threatening scene not been in here, it'd honestly be super sympathetic and almost sad about what happens to her at the end of the film. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, we're jumping the shark, so let's back it up again. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible, I promise. I want this movie far away from me too. Thankfully, we've reached the third act of the movie, so it won't be too long now. We actually get to see Kevin set up traps and use his brain, which is awesome, because he hasn't been doing that a lot throughout this movie. Wait, is that another door? Good grief. He does, whatever it is he's doing, I'm not actually quite sure, but I think he's hacking this remote thing. You know, the thing that he uses to power the house. If something so important to your house's security can be hacked by a 10-year-old, because he should be 10.
I'm 9 years old. Watch a lot of TV. I'm 10 years old. TV's my life.
Not 9, Rob Daniel, you were wrong, you can't count.
I'm 10 years old. TV's my life.
Then whoever installed or created that thing should be fired. Oh, and he also stretches and edits together Marv's voice, so I guess if you really wanted to stretch it, you could save a Home Alone 4 predicted AI voices. Man, that's 2 for 2 now. How is Back to the Future losing? Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Think, McFly, think! You're being beaten by the shitty knockoff Kevin McAllister, dude. Great Scott, this is heavy. Peter and Natalie leave again to go pick up the Royals again because they didn't show up the previous day. Marv and Vera are still around and decide to break into the house again. Kevin sees them again, yada yada yada. We've all seen this before already. Kevin goes harassing Mr. Prescott again, who somehow is willing to be in his presence still, even after the failed assassination Kevin took on his life. Kevin then tries it again, but instead of locking him in a walk-in freezer, he locked him in the basement of the wine cellar. So at least he won't freeze to death this time, and he has drinks to make sure he doesn't die of dehydration. Guess Kevin grew conscious or something, I don't know. The entire time, Kevin is trying to sweet talk Mr. Prescott, which really pisses me off for some reason. He's already going down to the wine cellar with you after you lock him in a walk-in freezer, you little freak. You don't gotta suck up to him. But, let's just get through this. He runs into, who is this again? Molly the maid. Remember her? I wouldn't be surprised if you forgot, because she didn't do much in this movie. But as it turns out, she's the true inside man working with Marv and Vera, not Mr. Prescott.
You're the inside man?
I'm afraid so.
Hey, Mom. We're here.
And, say it with me now, it makes no sense. There was basically no setup to this whatsoever, and it's a plot twist for the sake of having plot twists. The only thing that Marv says about having an inside man is that he has an inside man.
This time, it's all gonna go smooth as silk, because this time, I got an inside man.
And Molly only mentions having a son one time in a passing conversation that was completely worthless otherwise.
That's what I love about children. My own son was the same as you at your age. A real handful.
You must have been a great mom, Molly.
There is nothing that would ever imply they work together. One of the few times they share a scene is when Marv is watching Molly leave. That's like the opposite of foreshadowing. It's basically negative foreshadowing, actually. It's the worst foreshadowing I've ever seen in the world, because it isn't foreshadowing. It's like, it goes against what it actually wants to do. It's actively disproving your plot twist. That's like if in Wreck-It Ralph, they decided to make Ralph turbo the entire time. That's stupid, and it doesn't make any sense in the story. Conveniently, Kevin gets locked in with Mr. Prescott, who is very quick to forgive him. He gives Kevin his phone to call for help, but instead of calling the police, he calls Buzz for some stupid reason. Come on, even original Kevin knew when to call the police, even if it was, you know, after brutally mauling the robbers. But still, actually, now that I think about it, what even is Kevin's motivation to stop Marv in this movie? In the original film, he stopped him and Harry because his house was being robbed and he was in danger. In the second movie, he chose to stop Marv and Harry because they were robbing Duncan's toy chest, a toy store that was going to use its proceeds to help children with cancer in hospitals during Christmas.
All the money the store takes in today, Mr. Duncan is donating it to the Children's Hospital. And the day after Christmas, we empty out all the money in the cash register, and Mr. Duncan just takes it right down to the hospital.
What exactly is your excuse, Home Alone, for, Kevin? You don't want the royal family to get kidnapped from? You don't think they already have tons of bodyguards? You to help Natalie? Well, he doesn't like Natalie, and the writers tried to make Natalie as unlikable as possible in that previous scene I mentioned, so can't be it. So basically, Kevin's entire crusade in this movie has no purpose. He might as well stay down in this wine cellar because he has nothing to do. Unfortunately, however, he does manage to leave. Marv and Vera walk through the kitchen and completely lose their peripheral vision to see this trap right here, and Kevin baits Marv into Final Destinationing himself.
You better stay. Ow! Vera! Ow! Hi! Vera!
What?
Oh! Hit the button!
Hang on, baby.
Ow! No, not that button!
Don't you know a kid always wins against two idiots?
Vera then displays that she has negative infinity IQ points and crushes Marv's head further for some reason, and then Kevin hits him with this movie's equivalent of the paint can trap. And it's ass. I'll give him credit though, because immediately after this trash trap, he pulls an awesome one on Molly immediately afterward, where he manages to get the elevator stuck to itself using a chain he set up earlier. You win this one, Home Alone 4. That's actually sick. He pulls a bait and switch on Marv with some shoes in this cabinet, which I don't quite get the physics of, but alright. Swaps out Marv's master remote with his own booby-trapped one for later, and trolls Vera with his edited Marv voice.
Shut up, you moron!
Hey, I'm no moron, you jerk.
Shut up, you bag!
Door open.
Okay, you know what? That's not too bad. Maybe oh. Okay, he hits Marv with the balls with a very slow, flying, plane thing. And Marv makes zero attempt to move, and also falls down the stairs. Still not moving. Nice. Your traps were getting good, Home Alone 4. You were getting creative again. Come on. Kevin then traps them on the spinning countertop bookshelf thing, as if they couldn't just step off of it. He launches them into a chandelier like 3 rooms over, I don't know, where they then fall and die. What? What else was that music supposed to say? That's freaking Halloween funeral music, dude. Molly somehow got out of the elevator, which we never see, and tries to murder Kevin.
Good night.
But Mr. Prescott hits her first.
Perhaps we should call the police.
Good idea, Mr. Prescott.
You just thought of that right now? Are you serious? Why did you do that early? Kevin's family arrive at that moment and actually get to see Marv and Vera, and Buzz and Megan proceed to kick their ass. Peter was also here because he decided to go after Kevin after Kate told him what was going on. Oh, and Natalie is finally being an actual really bad person here. Probably should have been that way throughout the whole movie. The plot's basically over here, although we do get to see the Royals for the first time. This kid sounds like a grown-ass woman.
Do you have any kids?
Natalie arrives with the Royals, and they get to see Marv, Vera, and Molly arrested.
She's the boss.
I'm her boss.
I'm gonna be honest, you probably shouldn't be saying to a police officer when you find out that your acquaintance is a robber. Natalie's so lucky she's white. Prescott declares he doesn't want to be Natalie's butler anymore because he talked to Kevin in the wine cellar, and
I resign.
Resign? Why?
Because, as a wise young man once said, life's too short.
Life's too short.
Peter declares he doesn't want to be with Natalie anymore because she didn't care about Kevin.
And the whole time I was here, all I did was miss my family.
Oh, and also the Royals say that they want to stay with the McAllisters.
Young man, how are we ever going to show you our gratitude?
Would your family like to spend Christmas with our family? That sounds cool.
So Natalie's reputation is now in shambles, and she's also all alone.
You're going to be with them? Today? On Christmas?
The McAllisters, Mr. Prescott, and the Royals all celebrate while Natalie has a literal panic attack right there on the driveway.
I always think I'll have a lot of fun if I'm alone. But when I'm alone, it isn't that much fun at all. I don't care how much people bug me sometimes. I'd rather be with somebody than by myself.
I don't care how much people bug me sometimes. I'd rather be with somebody than by myself.
So all in all, if you like rushed antagonists, forced antagonists, annoying protagonists, useless protagonists, piss poor writing, regression in characters, an unnecessary useless divorce plot, a bunch of doors, as well as door opening, Eric Avari carrying his movie on his shoulders, an unspecified family of royals that add absolutely nothing to the movie, Adam West Batman, and doors, then this is the holiday movie for you. A sequel to a series of beloved holiday films that forgets it's an actual sequel, while also failing to replicate what made the original special. A Kid Who Opens Doors, the movie, the theatrical readaptation of Doors from Roblox, my least favorite holiday movie of all time, and one of the worst attempts at a legacy sequel I've ever seen. I guess for this movie, they probably should have kept the change. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. And a Happy New Year.